Hello and welcome to the Distaff side. Today we will be talking about distaffs, loading wool onto a distaff. And before we get started, I want to say a little bit about wool versus flax. There's a lot of people who think that flax was the only thing ever put onto a distaff, going back all the way through to the Egyptians, which we see hieroglyphs with them using distaffs. And although all the people groups who used wool, I think most of them, I guess I haven't looked it up, but we have evidence that all of them also used flax. However, they did all of their spinning using a distaff and spindle for thousands of years. Because of that, we know that they were also spinning wool on using their distaffs. So we also see it there's different evidences of it. Some people who only used wool also had distaffs in archaeological findings. Some people, some of the artwork depicted also showed what's very obviously wool and not flax. So setting that aside, because we're not going to worry about proving that today. We're going to be talking about wool. So what I want to talk about is this wool, which is roving. This is Corriedale roving, which is just a little bit more rough of a wool. I would still classify it as a fine, soft wool that you would want against your skin, but it is a little more rough than something like merino, for instance. But this wool roving, I have been spinning this for a long time using distaffs in a worsted way, which means that all the fibers are coming in the same direction. So when I pull out fibers from this, we're getting them all in the same direction. Now this spindle, which I'll be showing you, this distaff, which I'll be showing you how we're loading that in a little bit. This is Corriedale. This isn't Corriedale. It's Finn. This is Finnesheep. It is a little bit finer than Corriedale. The staple length is a little bit shorter. And I like spinning Finn, which is very lofty, fluffy wool, in woolen. Woolen, when you spin woolen, you're spinning fiber that's coming down into your draft in all different directions. And it doesn't give a huge difference. Like, we're not seeing like a huge gauge difference between the same fibers being spun worsted versus woolen, but we are seeing a little bit of difference, and you do see that when you spin and when you prepare your fiber. So it's really just preference, but I have found spinning multiple different kinds of wool, that multiple different breeds of wool, I should say, that some wools I really love doing worsted, and some wools I really love doing woolen. So it's up to you. There's no hard and fast rule of which to do and when to do it. It's really purely preference. And I'm going to be showing you today how I prepare my fiber to load onto the distaff. Now, when I say prepare the fiber, I mean that I'm going to be playing with it, but I'm not. It's already prepared. So this is from a bat, and this is from roving. And I also I do spin rolags, but I spin those straight from the rolags. I don't tend to use rolags on a distaff. So now I have the fiber in front of me that is in these two forms. So this is all I have left of my roving, which I bought a whole pound of it last summer, and I've been spinning away on it, and I'm finally reaching the end of it, which is really fun. But because of that, I don't have a ton of this, so it would just be a really long piece like this one, of all the fibers headed in generally the same direction. And I'll show you how I break that up and put it onto a distaff. This here is a bat, which is it's almost like a sheet of wool that comes off of I believe off a drum carder. That's one of my goals one day, is to get myself a drum carder, but they're not cheap. So yeah, so I have that one. And then one thing that I want to mention before we really dive in and get started is that you got to kind of try to think about what your goals for your yarn are and what your goals for using your distaff are. So just off the cuff, distaffs are used for holding longer fibers because they can get really tangled. I have some very long staple length Shetland that I use. I have to use my distaff with it because it gets all tangled. Flax is the same way because it's going to be even longer, and because of that you do need a distaff. And so one of the goals with having a distaff for those is just to keep your fiber organized. Another goal that is applicable to shorter staple length fibers is also going to be not just keeping it organized, but keeping it in one place, kind of storing it like a storage place, acting as a third hand that you can draft from, and making it portable. Because if you're at home, you can just grab a little tuft of wool and draft that out, and you don't have to have it all together in one convenient place. You can just have a basket of fluffs and just keep grabbing them and using that. You don't need to have a distaff. But if you're out and about, it is a lot easier if you have them loaded onto a distaff, or if you're even at home. Like I just use distaffs all the time, so I don't really have used, like at the very end when the distaff is empty, I'll take that little fluff and use it without my distaff, but otherwise I'm just using them all the time. So now we're going to get into what happens when you've got your distaff. So this is the small Oseberg distaff that we have for sale on our Etsy account. There's right now there's only one but left, because there was some more on there for sale, but right now there's only one left. But we do have some more coming into stock soon, as Fred at Lily Banjos is Lily Mountain Banjos, I'm sorry, he is making some more for us, so that's exciting. So these are the small distaff. It can also be used as a no step in. I'll probably do a video about hand winding your own ball of yarn down the road with the no step in. And this is the large Oseberg distaff. It's a little bit larger than the archaeological find. It's a little bit longer. The one in the archaeological find was about the same size, same height as this one, and thicker. And I just thought it would be fun to have one that's a little bit longer. The benefit of it being longer is that it can just hold a lot more. This holds a lot more fiber on it. So now I'm going to bring the video in and we're going to look at a downward so that you can see what exactly I am doing with these fibers. So first we're going to start with this roving. So roving is all, if you don't know, wool has scales on it. And the scales, when they're coming off of the animal, are all pointed out, like out away from the animal. And when you pull the wool, it's either going to slide along those scales or it's going to go against those scales. So when you pull it, when you get roving, you pull it, you can see one side pulls a little better than the other. And sometimes it's hard to tell. Okay, it's definitely this side, so I'm going to go with this side. So what I do is I find, this has already been figured out for me, but I find about how long I want it to be. I'm going to go from there to there. Now, if I had a whole lot, I've done this before, I can go about that long. And then when I'm holding it, it's kind of covering my hand up. It doesn't matter too much. But it is, I find it a little bit easier when it's all wrapped up in the ribbon of how to do that. So you pull this, you can just give it a good yank, And it does take a little bit of strength, and pull it apart. So I'm going to set this aside. Now, one thing, if you buy your spindles from us, I'm sorry, your distaffs, if you buy distaffs from us, it's going to come with this ribbon and a slip knot right here. And you can just pull that off, undo it. And you're going to leave this slip knot on. And what I do for these, I'm doing this one worsted. Sorry, there's so many words. Woolen, worsted, I'm having trouble with them. So I lay it like this, just kind of next to each other. You can see these are a little bit shorter. I got these a little shorter, but it doesn't matter that much, the length of it. And then you're going to put it to one side because we're doing worsted now. We want all the fibers in the same direction. So I'm going to roll it straight across. I'm rolling it straight across. I've got everything on there. And then I'm going to just wrap it. Now this smaller distaff has a 3-foot ribbon on it. And I don't know if you can tell, but this ribbon is a jacquard ribbon, meaning that it is a woven ribbon. And I'm not sure if you can tell it in there. I have tried multiple different kinds of ribbon. I have tried satin ribbon. I have tried like a cotton fabric kind of turned into a ribbon. It was a belt from a dress that you tie on. And out of all of them, the ones that had grip were the best. Satin ribbon's just gonna fall right off of this. There's nothing to hold on to, sadly, because satin ribbon, it's beautiful. And some of the woven ribbons that have a sheen to them that you'll find at the store, like they look woven when you look at them, they're still a little bit too slippery. But this jacquard ribbon has a bit of a catch back here. Here's the back of it. You can see that. And it needs a bit of a grip to it. So this is how I did that. I'll do it one more time just to help you see what I'm doing. And it is a little short, meaning it's on purpose. So could I have had a much longer ribbon on here? Yes. Would I be rewinding my fiber a whole bunch of times because it keeps coming out because there's just too much ribbon? That's also true. So it has these cute little X's on it. And I've got plenty of space to hold it. So that's a worsted. Now we're going to move on to doing woolen. Now we're going to do the larger distaff. So this is also a handheld distaff. This ribbon that's on this one is actually double the length of the other one. It's 6 feet. And if you've got a different distaff or a stick at home, you just cut yourself 3 feet of ribbon if you want a small distaff, or 6 feet if you want a big one, or if you play with it and 6 feet's too big, that's fine too. To my knowledge, no archaeological record of how long your distaff strings were. And in flax, they actually used a paper cone over their distaff and then put the ribbon on, which is an interesting thing. So to prepare for a distaff where we're spinning woolen, we're going to start with this bat right here. So we've got, let's say you went somewhere like I did to a fiber festival, and then this big beautiful bat. Look at that. It's gorgeous. And you can just start taking off a chunk of it here. And I'm going to try to make it rectangular. I'm fluffing it out a little bit here. The fluffier it is, the easier it is to draft. You don't want to be pulling. You don't want it tight. You don't want it super tight, because then you're going to be really yanking on your distaff, and it's just going to make the whole thing a lot harder than it needs to be. That's one thing I actually learned really well, because most of my spinning, especially to begin, was done on, oh, look at this. I can pull it apart this way too. Most of my spinning was done using a great wheel. And great wheel spinning depends on how lofty and open your fiber prep is. And because of that, because you've got this lofty, open, beautiful fibers, you can see, I don't know if you can see through, you see through that? You can see through them. Because you've got this beautiful, open fiber, like gauzy. It drafts wonderfully, and it goes like just like butter. It's so smooth. So smooth when you're drafting, and you can do long draw. So I'm trying to see, I've got it nice and fluffy. I'm trying to see if I've got enough, because this is a much bigger distaff than the other one. It's got a much bigger working area on it. And I tend to load it up with a lot more fiber on it, because it's got this beautiful, beautiful weight to it. It's just lovely and heavy. I don't know if I would call it heavy. It's not giving me carpal tunnel or anything, but now I'm looking to spread it this way. See if I can do that again. The idea is to just open these fibers up. Now, if I didn't have a bat, if I just had fiber, I just had wool and my hand cards, I would be hand carding this really open. It just makes for a way more pleasant spinning experience. And especially with your hand cards, with your hand distaff. A hand distaff is really fun to long draw spin from. And it just makes it a lot easier if you're not having to fiddle with it with your fingers a whole bunch to draft it. So we're just kind of looking for a uniform across that way. And it doesn't really matter. You can see I'm not looking at where the fibers go. I don't care. I don't care if they're up and down, side to side. I don't care if they're crooked. It's all totally fine. Now, you've got this string. You can just take it off if it bothers you, but I'm not going to worry about it. So what we're going to do is it on the diagonal. We're going to go like this. And they do this with flax to get that cone. They kind of do it the opposite direction. They go like this. We're going to go like this. And because all we're doing is we're looking to change the direction that the wool is going when it hits the distaff. That's all we're looking for. And I'm tucking this in a little bit just so it doesn't get stuck in my ribbon later. And you can see, I talked about it being so open, and now I'm squishing it all down. But it's still going to draft really nicely, because it's just laying next to, fibers are just laying next to each other. They're not all knit together like they were when the fiber was originally prepared. So now I'm putting this on. I like to pay attention to getting the decoration on the outside instead of the back of it, purely for looks. Has nothing to do with anything more than that. Then I'm going to give it a little spin right here, and then I'm going to bring it back up. And I'm going to see if I have it right. Nope. You can see I've got quite a bit of length here. Now, I could just give it a half knot. I'm sorry, a little slip knot right here, but I'm not going to do that. As I said, there's really no hard and fast rule to really any of this, if I'm honest. But these are things that have worked for me. This ribbon length, I like the ribbon length. It does get a little annoying toward the end. I'm just grabbing a little bit of fiber in here to try to use up that last little bit of ribbon that I've got that's slack. And I'm putting it under this little guy so that it really holds tight. And I don't know if you can hear my toddler in the background crying, but one of my teenagers has her out in the brambles looking for berries, and she might have got poked by a berry bramble. Anyway, so that is the large distaff done woolen, the small distaff done worsted, and yeah, that's about all you need to do. It's really pretty simple. As you go along, you're going to get your own style, your own way of doing things that are that you like, that you prefer. Most of our spinning record is just a whole bunch of people who are local to each other, learning from each other and learning a similar style to each other. And then you go regions over, countries over, and they have a totally different way of doing it. But they're all producing fabric, and they're all producing raiment for themselves, covering for themselves, and it works. So this is your permission. I'm giving you permission to take your fiber, take your distaff, figure out what works for you, and yeah, happy spinning. I'll see you again on the distaff side.